Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from AnthonyMorganti.com. This is episode 4 of the video series where we're taking a look at On1 Photo 10. In this episode, we're going to do an introduction to effects. Now I said introduction because effects is so powerful and you could do so much in effects that it would be ridiculous to try to jam everything in one video. So we're going to be doing a number of shorter videos. Now, my workflow, as most of you know, is I'm a Lightroom user. So I usually start out in Lightroom. So we're going to be doing these videos for effects from Lightroom. As you can see, I'm in Lightroom now and I have two images we're going to be doing. We're going to start out with this one. Now, what I do is I do all my processing that I want to do in Lightroom first. I usually won't add a vignette or stuff like that, any finishing things. I'll just do my processing up to that point. Then I'll send it over to effects. And then to do that, you just right click on the image and you go down to edit in and then down to On1 effects. Now, effects is not a raw processor. And since this is a raw file, we have to make a copy of this image. And the default settings is a PSD file, Adobe RGB color space, 16 bits per component, and a resolution of 300. I'm just going to keep those default settings and click Edit. Now Lightroom will create this file and then open it up into On1 Photo 10 effects. Now while it's doing that, I want to remind you that in the description below this video are a link and a discount code which will allow you to save 20% off your entire shopping cart at On1 Photo 10. So if you're going to buy the product, definitely use the discount code. You'll save 20%. Now, once it comes over here, it comes up with this dialog box about saving it as a re-editable smart photo. We talked about this in the last video. If you think that maybe a week from now, a month from now, you want to come back in here and tweak your adjustments, you definitely want to use a smart photo. The downside of a smart photo is the file is larger. Also, it takes a little longer to save and a little bit longer to open, but mostly a little longer to save. Personally, I have really large disk drives or hard drives on the computer, so I don't mind that it's a little bigger. So I'm going to use a smart photo. Just gives me more versatility in the future. Now, when I first started using effects, and I found this out from other people also, is I was kind of confused about filters and presets. You could see up here. Kind of look the same, in a way. Well, filters are specific things you could do to the image. So we have an adjustable gradient, a black and white, a grunge, and so on. These are specific adjustments that could be done to the image. Presets, on the other hand, are a group of filters used together. So the way to think about it is you have a brick wall. The filters are the individual bricks. The presets are the actual wall. All right, so this is why I think effects is so powerful. You could use any combination of filters, and then you could really adjust the filter settings individually to give you a really unique image that is unique to you. So that's why I really like effects. Now, with that said, especially if you're first starting out, I suggest you try a preset first. See if there's something with the presets that gets you close to what you envision for your image. Now, as you can see, there's all these different categories of presets. And, there's black and white, architecture. Let's just open up architecture. And you can see that there's like one called New York. Let's click on that. And once you click on that, it will save, or it will, give you the image, what it looks like with New York. And you'll see that this preset consists of two different filters, dynamic contrast and black and white. And actually this I like a lot. Just accidentally clicked on it and I like it a lot. But I wasn't planning on actually using this one. So what we could do is we could go down here and click reset and it will take those filters away. And then we could go back up. But I just wanted to show you something else is what I wanted to do. Is if we go over to our favorites, and there's some favorites that are pre-populated here. And you can see one of them is Chrome. And I want to click on that. And what Chrome is going to consist of is one filter. It's just one filter, a black and white filter. Now, I really didn't want this to be a black and white image. I wanted it to look more like that New York preset we just saw. So what I'm going to do is, you can see at the very top of the filter is an opacity slider. Every single filter has an opacity slider, which is great. If you turn opacity all the way down, you can see we have the original image. If you just turn it up, you can see we're starting to add the filter to the image. So I kind of want this washed out color look. All right, just like that. Also, I'm noticing that there's some grain in there. And if you look at the bottom of this filter, there is a section for a specific type of film grain. Well, I don't want any film grain. So if I click there, you can see there's all these different types of film grains that could be added to the image. I just want none. I don't want any film grain at all. So I'm happy with this filter. So this preset got me kind of close to what I wanted, and now I went in and I tweaked the one filter that is included with this preset. Now, again, some presets might have 5 filters or 3 filters. This one just had the one. So I did that. Now I want to do something more to it. So I'm going to go to filters, and I want to add another filter to this filter. So what we're going to do, I want the sky to be enhanced a little bit. Even though I sucked the color out of this image, I want the sky though to have a little bit more color. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to this button right here, Add Filter. And we're going to go down to Color Enhancer. Now as soon as I click that, you'll see in the left-hand panel over here that the Color Enhancer filter will show. And what you'll see here is what you might think are presets, and I'm hesitant to call them presets. What these are different settings for this filter. We have an auto color, a cool shadows, a cooler darken sky. Let's click on darken sky. Okay, so what that is that's just adjusting these settings specifically to give you a darker sky. Let's go to Puffy highlights. You'll see these settings change. So these are kind of like shortcuts. I would call these filter shortcuts to get you something that you want. So you don't have to come in here if you don't have the time or don't want to. You don't have to come in here and individually push the sliders around. You could just right away, I want a sky enhancer, so I'm going to click there. So that would enhance the sky. So that, is, I guess, like kind of a shortcut to these filters to help you get the filter exactly the way you want it. Now with that said, I'm going to reset it. Every filter I mentioned at the top has an opacity slider. Well, at the bottom right hand corner we'll have a reset button. If you click that, it just resets that filter. Now what I'm going to adjust the sky my way. So I'm going to go to color range right here, and I'm going to click there, and I want blue. So I'm going to do stuff with blue. Now I'm not going to mess with hue at all, but I am going to take saturation and I'm going to push that way up. And then I'm going to take brightness and I'm going to push that way down. So it's making the blue that is in that sky darker. All right, that's really all I want to do to this. It auto-toned, you could see, and I don't want that, so I'm going to undo that. All right, so it auto-toned these, and I didn't want it to auto-tone at all. So we just affecting the blue in the sky, so I'm happy with that filter. Now I want to add another filter to it. So all I got to do is click right here, Add Filter, and I'm going to go to Dynamic Contrast. Now you can see there's all these different versions of dynamic contrast. I kind of like that default version right there, all right? Now, if it's a little too strong, I could come in here with this opacity slider and pull it down a little. All right, maybe I will, just a little bit. All right, now I want to add one more filter. I want to add a vignette to this. So I'm going to go down here to Vignette. And the default one I don't care for, so I'm going to open it up. There also are these little shortcuts to specific ones. I could use one of those, but I think what I'll do is I'll come down here, and you can see right here are some more presets. These are actually the presets that are over here. Same exact ones. And since my cursor is over here, I usually just stay right over here. And plus, if you hover over each one, you could see that it gives you a preview of that preset. One of my favorites is Big Softy, but when I do use Big Softy, as is often the case, it's too strong. It's just a little too like encroaching into the middle. So I usually add Big Softy and I'll go to size and I push it away from the middle a little bit by moving that slider to the right. So that's Vignette. Now, I kind of like it. Let's go down here to this button right here is a preview button. There's the original image, and there is what we did to it. Now, there is some noise up in here. Let's, for the sake of argument, let's go down here and add a noise reduction a noise reduction filter. And I don't know how much it really did anything. You could turn it off with this little button here. There's without the noise reduction, with the noise reduction. Oops. Takes a second, I guess. I'm a little bit of a lag. And you have these presets along the top. Everything with these filters and in On1 Photo 10 in general, you could kind of drill down to get more specific. So you could go real quick and you could do strong right there. Or you could do blue sky right here. And that's where I'm seeing the noise. And it actually made the noise worse if you ask me. Shadows right there. So you could try these. Strong did a pretty good job. It takes a second to render. Strong probably was the best job. We could turn like luminance up a little more. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that right there. So I'm done with the image. It took 5 different filters, and I started out with a preset. You might remember it was the Chrome preset that I started out with right here. And then I added these filters to it. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to click Apply. Now it will apply these. Now it's a smart file again, so it takes a little bit longer to save because it's actually, those of you that are familiar with Photoshop, it's actually saving it as a layered PSD file, which takes a little longer to save and it takes up a little more disk space. So as we wait for it to do its thing, and then it will finally open up in Lightroom. There's the original file. There's our processed image. Now, you might get this in Lightroom quite often. You can see that there's this little up arrow on this processed image. If you click on it, it's going to say import settings from disk. The metadata has changed basically. Actually, for these things that you send over to effects, it doesn't matter which one of these you use. So I'm going to overwrite settings, and you can see it stays the same. You could have used the other one too, and it wouldn't have mattered. It will take a second for this to clear down here. This little icon with this up arrow, there, it cleared now. And you can see the image didn't change, and metadata is the same. So we're good to go. Kind of like what I did there. Now you could come in back in, nothing's to say you can't go over to the develop module here and do some more processing if you want. You could go to the detail and you could add some more sharpening and you could add some more noise reduction if you want. Make it yours. So, you could really, like I said, the sky's the limit. So we're going to do this other one real quick. I just want to show you a couple other things. We're going to do this image. We're just going to right click. We're going to go down to Edit In, and we're going to go down to On1 Effects 10. Again, it's going to come up with this box asking us to create the copy. We're going to take the defaults and click Edit. It's going to make the file. Then it's going to ask me whether or not we want to use a smart file or not, remember? And I always just say yes. And eventually it might open. And and there it is, Smart Photo. We'll just say yes. Okay, now we're in effects. Now it kind of left us right where we left off in noise reduction, and we have the presets. Now I'm just going to do some filters to this. You kind of get a game plan on what you want to do. There's not a ton of color in this image, so I want to enhance the blue in the sky, what blue there is in the sky, and I want to enhance the grass a little bit. There's just a tiny bit of grass down in here. So I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to add a color enhancer. All right. Now, it auto toned again, we could just click reset here and it's going to keep auto tone there. So we're going to undo that. So just remember that it will kind of default to auto tone being set. What again, is I want to come down here to color range and we're going to do the blues first. And I'm going to turn saturation up, too high, way too high. And we're going to turn brightness down until I get it about good enough. All right, like that. So we did blues. Now I want to do the grass. Now, of course, grass is green, but what you'll find whenever you're doing any color enhancement to grass, whether it's in an HSL panel or in effects, yellow really will affect the grass shading a little more than green. So what I want to do is I want to make it a little brighter. So I'm going to go in here and you can see how it's making the grass brighter in here. It's also making this brighter over here, but you can see. All right, maybe bring saturation up just a little too. All right, so we just did that little subtle adjustment to the grass. It just gives it a little more contrast to the dark stuff around the grass there. All right, so I think color enhance is done. And again, in future videos, we're going to get a little more deeper into these sliders and what you could do with them. So I want to add another filter. And let's see, let's add a photo filter. Now, it picked the first photo filter up here in these quick settings of filters. All I want to do really is warm this slightly. And this 81A warming filter will do that. Okay, so click there and you can see how it warmed it slightly. So there is without the filter and with the filter. So I'm happy with that. The default settings, I'm perfect. Now I want to add probably my favorite filter is dynamic contrast, so I'm going to add that. So you can see it added a lot of contrast there. There is without the filter and with the filter. Probably added too much. So we're going to come here and we're going to take this opacity slider down until I like it. Okay, and then usually I'll compare it like before the filter, with the filter. Kind of like it right there. So the opacity at 43% looks good to me. So I added 3 filters. Here's the original image. There's my image. Original, mine. Okay. Now I think I just want to add the vignette again. And we'll come over here to this big softy one again. And actually that looks pretty good there. Just like that. Yeah, I like it. So there is the original, and there is our enhanced one. And as I mentioned, you could just do so many different permutations to these things. Not only could you add a filter on filter on filter on filter, but then the filters themselves, you could adjust them individually to really give you a unique look. So I like what I did here. I'm just going to click apply and it will save it. Again, it is a smart file, so it takes a little longer. And when it comes back over in Lightroom, we'll probably have that little icon in the top corner. No, we didn't this time. Every now and then you will get that. But there's the original, and there's what we did in On1 Photo 10. Now, this one was pretty subtle. I didn't do a ton to it. But that's again, what you could do with effects. You could put a really heavy effect on these things and make it like super painterly looking maybe. Or you could just enhance. I enhanced the sky, and enhanced the grass a little bit, and I enhanced the detail. That's all I really wanted to do to that image. This one, I did a little more to. All right, did a little more to that one. So that's it for this introduction to On1 Photo 10 effects. In the next episode, we're going to get a little deeper into it, and I'm going to show you how you could do some masking. You could actually mask that specific filter out from a part of the image, or you could mask the entire preset or all the filters out from a part of the image. We're going to talk about that and different masking tools that are available in effects. So that's it for this video. I want to remind you guys, use the link below. You'll save 20% on your purchase of On1 Photo 10. If you're not sure if you want to buy it, use the link below. Go over to On1. They have a 60-day trial. That's pretty cool. So try it out. You can work along with me in the videos. see how it affects your images. Again, thank you everyone that watches my videos. I truly, truly do appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.